Greetings, my excellent friends. The Dead Monk welcomes you to Purgatory. And I was catching up on some videos on YouTube, and I found some nice, juicy rumors, courtesy of Nerdrotic. I'd like to play a couple little clips from two of his videos. So the first one is a rumor he brought to us a couple days ago. And it's about, well, I'll just let him tell you. So this is some news he got from an insider he has.
Well, Gary, I have Star Wars news. I know why they could not use the originals as its base for the sequel trilogy at Galaxy's Edge. They didn't buy them. Lucas still owns the originals, and they license from him. Now, I'm going to repeat that. They didn't buy them. Lucas still owns the originals, and they license from him. Now, I've asked for a little bit of elaboration. I haven't gotten it yet, but when I hear the originals, I'm thinking the original trilogy, the prequel trilogy. So I don't think it's saying here that George Lucas still owns old Star Wars, original Star Wars. I think that he owns a piece or has the right to a percentage of any profits from older stuff, even though he has sold everything outright to Disney, but it turns out it's not that outright. Maybe. The implications of this is huge, and that is because this is why Disney has not put out a despecialized edition and has been trying to kill off original characters. Now, this comes from...
Alright, so if this is true, I find this hilarious. And it would explain a lot. So, yeah, I mean, the news on Galaxy's Edges, there's nothing there about any characters that you know from the original trilogy or even the prequels, but yeah, whatever. There's nothing. And they've done so little to market the original trilogy. Maybe it's because either George still gets the profits on those, or at least part of them, or, yeah, they have to license it from him and they don't want to. If that's the case, that is hilarious. So, let's say Gary's right here, and he said he guesses that George still has a piece of it. So any money they make off the original trilogy, some of the money they make they have to send off to George. What's the problem with that? Are they just so petty that they don't want to share? Because, you know what? Having to give away a little bit of something is better than not having to give away any of nothing. And the way they're going, pretty soon, Star Wars will be earning them nothing. Now, it's also mentioned here from his insider that this is why Disney has not put out a despecialized edition. I assume they mean of the original trilogy. And, well, I've brought it up before, I'm going to bring it up again. There is a despecialized edition, it just isn't official. So I'm going to mention it again, just in case people haven't heard of it. It is Harmy's Despecialized Edition. Now, I downloaded these years ago. I mean, I assume it's still easy to find these. I guess I should take a look. But yeah, this dude Harmy, well, he went through and despecialized the original trilogy. Took out all the special edition stuff, at least as much as he could. And so you have an HD version of Star Wars, and Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi, without crap like Jabba the Hutt being in Star Wars. Or Greedo firing at Han. Nope, that's not in this. So it'd be very easy for Disney, or Lucasfilm, whoever, to do this. I mean, this was one guy doing it in his own time. I mean, it took him years. But it was just one person doing this. So to get all of Disney behind it, I mean, it'd be simple for them to put out a true version of Star Wars. But maybe they can't because George Lucas still owns it. Oh, that's hilarious. Alright, so, as I said, this would explain a lot. You know, they're killing off the characters, or just completely taking a shit on them. The characters from the old movies. And everything's about these new characters that are just so boring. Well, maybe this is the reason why. I say it's hilarious. It's mainly because it's just so sad, it's funny. Alright, but then, as I was catching up on videos, I caught another tidbit, also from Gary. So, here's another video from him. I'm just going to play a little bit of that.
So this is what my insider piped in with yesterday, and this was after I made the video. Rianne was not, and by the way, I call Ryan Johnson Rianne. Rianne was not randomly writing a story, nor was Jar Jar. Jar Jar's job was to create an in-canon reboot like the 2009 movie of Star Trek and introduce the new characters. Rianne's job was to kill off the originals, and then you were supposed to not notice it was rebooted. Well, I think everybody noticed.
Sorry, I'm going to pause that. How could anyone not tell that Star Wars Good Morning Force Episode 7 was a remake of Star Wars? I mean, it took me 5 minutes of the movie to realize, oh, I'm just watching a remake of Star Wars. I leaned over to my buddy I was watching it with and said, I have a bad feeling about this. And, yep, it was bad. And yeah, shot for shot, almost, remake of Star Wars. Alright, go ahead, Gary.
And more on this in a second. Each was given the outline to make it and what the points were. So now you know why. Disney did not want to pay a license fee by the end of it, and it looked different and was a new copyright under the old name. This sounds very familiar. They even changed the Falcon to be different, but the orders were in the end to leave nothing original. There's also this. There was always one plan. After the reaction to The Last Jedi, the decision was made to bring in Jar Jar to correct what was going on and fix what he had laid out, and threw Rianne under the bus. This is why they said Rianne might get his own trilogy. They just didn't expect the backlash that they got, and consequently Solo flopped. Again,
Alright. So here's just more saying that Disney Star Wars is not Star Wars because they really didn't have the rights to make it like Star Wars. There, again, so sad it's funny. And if the plan all along, from Kathleen Kennedy before they even got Jar Jar Abrams in there, was to just make Good Morning Force, or Episode 7, a remake of Star Wars, well, she picked the perfect director. Because Jar Jar Abrams, all he knows how to do is rip stuff off. His movies are all so crap. I mean, you had Star Trek 11, his movie from 2009. Star Trek 11, to me, was pretty much just a rip-off of Star Trek 10, Nemesis. Well, the way it looked, very similar. Story-wise, it had a lot of the same plot points in it. And then, of course, Star Trek 12, Into Darkness, was just a horrible remake of Star Trek 2, The Wrath of Khan. And yeah, we all know that Star Wars Good Morning Force was just a complete, soulless rip-off of Star Wars. Like I said, they picked the perfect director for that. I don't remember his movie, is it just called Super 8? I recall that was him thinking he's the next Spielberg, and he's not. Even old Spielberg, and I don't mean Spielberg from a while ago, I mean old man Spielberg, what he is now, making really bad Indiana Jones movies and that kind of stuff. And Ready Player One, but even that Spielberg is so much better than Jar Jar Abrams. And then there was Mission Impossible 3. In my eyes, it's the worst Mission Impossible just because it is just so bland and forgettable. You can argue that Mission Impossible 2 was worse. I say at least Mission Impossible 2 was memorable. All the silly John Woo stuff, at least makes that one memorable, even if it's not good. Mission Impossible 3? No, it's so boring. I don't remember the story at all. All I remember is Philip Seymour Hoffman was in it. That's about it. So yeah, those are his 5 movies. No creativity. So they picked the perfect director. to ruin Star Wars. And Ruin Johnson, they told him his job was to kill off characters, so he didn't really have much say either. Maybe that's why he's such a crying man-baby on Twitter and all that, right? Because people criticize him for his movie when he was just doing what he was told to do. Maybe that's his problem. People are yelling at him, or people are mad at him for making a crap movie when he didn't even get to decide how to make his own movie. But I won't make excuses for him. Besides, I haven't even seen that movie. Good Morning Force turned me off enough that I have not seen, what's this movie, The Last Unicorn? Have not seen The Last Unicorn. Although it's going to be tough. I might feel that I should do a review for, what's the new one? Oh, that's right. The one coming up in December, Star Wars Luke's Erection. And if I decide to do a review on that, well, it'd be kind of weird to do that without ever watching The Last Unicorn. But, I mean, I know a little bit of that movie from talking to people and seeing videos online. I really don't want to watch it. But we'll see. But how could they possibly think that this was a good idea? Kill off everything that was Star Wars. Leave something completely different. And you think that people are going to embrace that? And give you money for it? That was some stupid thinking there. And if it's all because they need to license all the original trilogy stuff from Lucas, well, if that was part of the deal, they never should have bought it from him. If it's merely that they can use all this stuff, but they have to give George royalties on everything they make when it comes to the original trilogy, well, if that's the case, just suck it up and pay the man. Because again, if you're making bank, but you have to give a little bit of that to George, that's better than making almost nothing and having an entire section of your theme park completely empty. It's better than making almost nothing and not having to give anything to George. Now, even if Disney had the full rights to everything and owned everything Star Wars outright, I mean, I still wouldn't think they'd be able to make good movies. It's Disney. They're garbage. What I would love to see, just let's make a hilarious end to this whole saga. Sell Star Wars back to George Disney. Do it. Let's see. You bought it from him for $4 billion. It's losing value, so sell it to him now for, let's say $1.5 billion, $2 billion. Honestly, that's more than it's worth at this point. Do it. And then George, hire some good people. You can oversee everything, but hire some good people to do some writing and directing for you. You don't get to make any more movies. But you get to hire good, talented people to do it. So that's what I'd like to see. I know that's never going to happen, but I can still dream. Alright, so not much more to say. If you made it this far in the video, consider liking or subscribing. And I think we'll end there, rather than just ranting on more and more about how Disney, Kathleen Kennedy, Ruin Johnson, Jar Jar Abrams, how they all suck. So, don't be a bunch of talentless hacks like all these frauds. Instead, just go out there and be excellent to each other. Farewell.